It's one of those things that a lot of people are like, I don't know. But it definitely is. Overwhelm's a choice, and we're going to explain how. We're going to go through a lot of different steps. Not just going to give you the mindset. We're going to give you the how on how to help with these things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I know that we're not the only ones who deal with overwhelm, but most certainly, like, overwhelm hits
everyone.
Everyone. And, it's one of those things you have to be conscious and intentional about as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's get going. All right. So people generally say things like this. They say, "I don't know if this is going to work," or "There is just too much going on. Like right now, this, and this, and this. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do all of this. And you don't know about this, right?"
Or more sounds like this. I just have so much going on. I have to do this and I have to do that. And I really don't know what to do. And, I also have to, and I didn't get to this. And
Yep.
He was really calm. It doesn't really come out calm. It's,
yep. Well, those of you that are calm on the outside are screaming on the inside. I get it.
It's just so stressed, right? Like there's like so stressed, like there's just so much going on. I just, and it comes down, and a lot of you, it comes out as a common little saying, like you'll have all of these statements and it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. And, totally we understand this aspect. And, in this situation, it's, not what you do know, but it's what you don't know that hurts you the most. Right. So we're going to be diving into a lot of different aspects here to help with these things.
Yes. And we get overwhelmed, a thing, but we're going to explain a lot of different things. It's also a choice. So we're going to dive into that. Now, the truth is we don't have overwhelm like from doing the truth is we don't have overwhelm from doing too much in our life, but it's honestly from not doing the things that we should be doing. So overwhelm really a lot of times is from not doing the things, like you're usually stressed out from the things that you're not doing. It's not from doing too much usually. It's from not doing the things you should be doing, basically. Which is true, 100%. Yep.
And behavior is driven by beliefs, and so that's why we have to address the how to first. Like we have to address those underlying beliefs that we hold on to about like what's possible, what's not possible, and all of those things. That's why care cycles are so important, to understand your beliefs and where they come from, so you know what's going on.
Yes, because if you don't, so here's the thing. If, let's say, for example, you have a belief of, I don't know, just random belief that popped off my head. I'm the rock in everyone's life, right? Those you don't hear on the call. Let's say that that's a belief, but you're trying to hold up all these different things in your life, right? And responsible for everyone else. Then what's going to happen? You're going to be overwhelmed, right? Too. So when you get rid of the deep-rooted belief, therefore you can get rid of all of the overwhelm too. So.
Yes.
The truth, yeah, go ahead. The truth is there's always someone else doing like, honestly, way more, like 10 times what you're doing in a day, week, monthly, yearly. That's not stress. It's just what it is. like there's like where we're at, and then there's like people that are running like $300 million a year businesses that are they're not stressed. They're just good, right? So there's people doing way more that are way less stressed.
And I can totally see this in our own life as well, just like looking at my own self-growth over the years, like where I was years ago versus like where I am now. And back then I was like, oh my God, like, and I was all over the place. And I'm like, I do so much more now than what I was doing. And it's so much more peaceful. Now, do I hit stages where I struggle and have to process through things? Yes, but it's a drastically different from where I was.
Yeah, I love this. Some of you saw it on Instagram. I don't know if any of you follow us on Instagram, but I love reels, like my vice. And so I posted this. I like this reel, and I actually ended up downloading the song. It's like, honestly, a kid song, which I did not expect me to like it because I usually hate kid songs. But it's a kid song, and it's like called "Peace Like a River," and it's just. It showed this image from Pirates of the Caribbean of this, like the stairs being blown up and like all these other things by cannonballs, and this guy's just calm, cool, collected, like the ship's being shattered, but he's just like walking down the stairs like nothing's happened, like just singing "Peace Like a River." It's so awesome. But that's why you can have that type of peace. You don't have to be overwhelmed. But here's the thing: also, all events are neutral.
This one is big, and this one can be very hard to grasp. And it's like in the moment, especially with all the things going on in our own minds, it's like, no, no, that's bad, or this is bad, or this or that, or that. Right? Like, no, it's all events are neutral. It's the story that you're telling yourself consciously and subconsciously that, determines whether you're perceiving it as good or bad. Essentially, it's just going to be your perspective that comes out on dictating on, is this good or is this bad? Right. And your perspective is dictated by your beliefs and your mindset. Like, that's what's dictating your beliefs and mindset.
Yeah. Also, like, okay, so let's use a couple different examples. The one we use in the modules is like the World Trade Center, right? When it was blew up, of course I believe that's bad because my beliefs align with that. It's bad. It's horrible. It's worse. It's really, really bad. But to some people, they were cheering that on in the world at one point. It's a neutral event. It's based on the story that you tell yourself, really, because even though I agree it's a horrible event, some people in the world were cheering that on. That it was a good event. Or let's say that, back when we were having our affairs and different things, while she would agree that when I was cheating on her with another person, that that was bad, right? Pretty bad, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
just a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other person who wanted me would say that was good, right? So it's it's a neutral event depending on the story that you're telling yourself, is what I'm saying. Now, and what aligns your values and principles. Of course, it's a bad event, but like it also depends on what you're telling yourself, is what we're saying here.
Yep. And the perspective. And so this is where, again, like, so this is where like the beliefs and the mindset really tie in to how you are viewing the world.
Yes.
Right? Like everything that's going into your brain, everything you're experiencing is literally driven by beliefs and your mindset.
Not only beliefs, but also social programming. So like when it comes to like social programming, a lot of people, we're trained even by the news outlets to look for negative, like negative, negative, negative. Like we're all trained to look for the negative in everything that we do. And so what do we naturally come up with? The negatives, but we can always find a positive in almost every single thing. I can find a positive now, but not back then, because I wasn't trained to do some of these things. I'm gonna let someone in real quick.
In the affairs.
Yeah, in the affairs, but I can honestly now I can find all types of positives in it now, and then I can look back and laugh at them. So I mean it's you can always find positives in things. But let's keep going. So the truth is, right, that stress itself is not actually bad for you. So bear with me. Stress itself is not actually bad for you, meaning stress and pressure is what can actually help you grow.
Yes.
So if you look at stress, now anxiety is different. That's a chemical imbalance in your body that's going on. But stress and pressure are pretty much the same thing, which means that pressure and stress are what create diamonds under pressure. So if you're trying to grow and you're working on developing yourself, you're going to have outside influence, not only outside influences that cause stress and pressure, but you're also going to have internal influences that cause stress and pressure because, as we talked about in other videos, your body actually gets addicted. When you start reprogramming like beliefs and different things, your body actually fights and reminds you of memories because you actually get addicted to certain emotions, and your body will actually and mind will actually bring up past memories to trigger you to actually get that fix on that emotion.
Yep.
Literally, we're all drug addicts in some sort of way until you get past this.
emotional addicts, which means some people are addicted to anger, some sadness, some like not needed, some, discarded, you're addicted to those. And that's why it just drives that behavior over and over.
Yes. So think about it, right? Think about growing a muscle, right? Who here, like, well, actually, I can't see everybody, but you see like 5 people right now because of the screen. But like a lot of people here go to the gym because I tell them to go to the gym, right? And then they like to go to the gym too. But like a lot of people go to the gym. So think about growing a muscle. You have to put stress on the muscles to grow, right? Okay. You can't have you have to also have the nutrients and different things like that, which causes more growth and everything, but it's all the same. If you want to grow something mentally, just like physically, you have to be able to, and emotionally and spiritually, you have to be able to cause stress to be able to like it to grow.
Yeah. And I'll say that, when I didn't use my leg for like 5 months, and I didn't have any stress on that leg at all, my muscles did not grow. They shrank rather rapidly, super fast, right? So most certainly you have to want, and you want to have that stress on it to be growing, because you don't want to be shrinking and shriveling up and dying, right? Like,
Atrophy.
you want to continue growing in all aspects.
You want hypertrophy, not atrophy. So what we loop matters also.
Yes, and I love this. So I am super fascinated by the brain and how it works. And so, there was a study done at Yale that they found that over 90% of your thoughts were repeated day after day. So, what 90% of what you thought about today, you're going to loop and think about it tomorrow as well, and the next day, and the next day. Right. And we have over 60,000 thoughts. Like, it ranges anywhere on their calculations from 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, which is a lot. Right. And the majority of those are just worries, right? So we're sitting here just looping these things, the same things over and over and over again.
Yes, 100%. Also what they found, I'm going to go ahead and read that too.
Yes, 85% of those worries never actually happen. 85% never happen. And out of only the 15% that do happen, they found that 80% of those 15% are not really that bad, and the ones that were actually helped in growth. That means that 97% of the worries that we repeat on loop and worry are not only completely out of your control, but unnecessary as well. So it's both completely unnecessary and out of your control.
I think we need to read that again. So study done at Yale, what they found was 90% of your thoughts were repeated day after day. 60,000 thoughts a day. The majority of those thoughts were worries. Okay. 85% of those worries never happen. Ever. Of the 15% of the worries that happen, they found that 80% of the worries that happen are not that bad, right? The ones that in the woods of worry, right? That help with growth, basically. Mm-hmm. And that 97% of the worries that actually happen, that we repeat loop after loop, not only completely unnecessary, but also they found out they were out of their control too. And being able to actually do anything about
That's a lot of wasted time, energy, mental capacity, and so many other things impacting.
Yes. So worry and overwhelm. Worry is, what is worry? Well, worry is the desire for things to be different than in the present moment. That's what it is.
Yes.
So worry is for the desire for things to be different in the present moment. So what's going on is outside of my control, basically, is what we're saying. What's going on is outside of my control, and I don't like it.
Isn't that funny? I just really like it. It's like, it's out of my control and I don't like it. It's almost like that whole, like, kind of, I just feel like a kid when I say that. I'm like, I don't like it. I can't change it. Yeah. That's literally how I would show up in that aspect. So speaking from me, but that is super common. And like, that's what worry is. How many things are you worried about that you just can't control? All of those things.
Yeah. Also, stress is the belief that it's bad for you, right? Right. Stress is a belief that it's bad for you, and that pressure to hurt, basically that pressure is to hurt you versus pressure is to actually build you. Mm-hmm. Compounds, right? So stress is also the resistance to current circumstances. Stress is this is important point right here. Stress is the resistance to current circumstances. So turn stress into pressure and let it grow and mold you. Because you can't control a lot of the stuff in your life. You can only control a few things, and I'll get to those, but so why not let it grow and mold you? Why not seek the positive out of it and the aspects of how can this make me better? So ask not why is this happening to me, but ask how is this happening for me? How can I grow from it? Because you can grow from anything.
Yes, absolutely. And so just I'll share a little bit about what's going on currently, in our life, because I think it's great to just share, that this is a great reminder call for me as well, just because I felt a little overwhelmed and extremely worried this week. I was just like, I told Tommy, I was like, oh, I'm just like, my mind, and I had to recenter and like go through all of these things again as well. So while our current situation isn't marriage related, it's still life. Like we tell you guys, like life always happens. And so, there has been, threats at our local schools, and so where our kids go. And
like multiple different schools,
like 4 in a week. And so it's just, and they don't tell you anything. And so in that aspect, like there was a lot of worry and the overwhelm. And most certainly it was out of my control and I don't like it. Literally, I stated those words pretty precisely about like how things were handled or what they tell us and those things. And let me just tell you, like it's most certainly out of my control and I don't like it, but we're changing it and we're, changing our mindset and different things. And it is helping me grow. It's helping me shape up and like it is pressure and it's going to be pushing me into a different direction on things that we're doing with our kids. But we can take those and bad moments, right? Bad for me, the story I'm telling myself because it's bad for me, and I'm going to make it good. And what's going to come out of it? It's going to really help us grow.
100%. So, need more land, right? You're like, what? What do we even mean by this? So, need more land. We all want more in life, but most people don't want the pressure that comes with it, right? They don't want the pressure. And it doesn't mean that everybody wants more materialistic things, because I know some people don't. It just means that everybody wants more of something in life. Everyone on this call wants more of something in life, whether it's be heard, understood, valued, like loved, peace, whatever it is, intimacy, whatever it is, or trust. Everybody wants something more, communication, deep, intimate connections. However, if God is responsible for growth, then how can you expect him to give you more and give you growth if you don't choose to provide a bigger plot to grow it in? Right? So you came into this program with a certain size plot of land. Imagine that, for those of you in real estate. In order to expand the plot, that produces good fruit, you have to make sure the soil is right for planting so that God can grow the seeds for abundant harvest. This goes back to the statement of God grows healthy things and healthy things grow. So you have to have the right foundations. It's kind of like when you put like plant in like a starter thing and it's only like yay big, right? Like that plant is gonna tap out and it can only get so big before it needs to be transplanted. Otherwise it starts like having branches or little stems die off and stuff just because there's not enough to feed it as it grows. But then so you have to transfer it into a bigger space. Same thing that works with us. Yes. Also, focus. Focus is key. You can't focus on the weather or what's going on around you, basically. This goes back to like in the Bible where it talks about Peter walking on the water. And as what happens when did he start to sink? When he started looking around him and looking at all the weather, right? When he started to sink, when he started looking at everything that was out of his control, he started to sink when he started to look at and try to control everything because he couldn't. What did he try to do? Try to stabilize in the wind and try to fight everything versus just focusing on the process and walking towards Jesus, right? Yes, and one of the reasons why you're so unfocused is because you're consulting fears and listening to your fears and listening to the devil and those limiting beliefs and all of those things, and that's what's driving you, and that is not consistent at all. And you're going to be unfocused if that's where your focus is. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that's going to win is the one you focus on. Yep. And the enemy tries, and he will get you to focus on hypothetical situations. I get messages all the time like, what if? And those are the worries that we're talking about, like looping, right? So many different worries just looping that most of them don't even ever happen. But if that's where your focus is, you're not focused on any kind of the growth within or on the change. It's just derailing. Right. So imagine this. This is just a good analogy that popped in my head, but imagine imagine like you're trying to like draw a picture, a very detailed picture, and you're just focused on like, I got to draw this. Like, I got to get to the end goal. But you're never thinking about every little bit of the details that you're drawing it in. You're not practicing. You're not getting better. What kind of like you're just thinking all in your head and you're just drawing like automatically. What is that going to look like? Right? A hot mess. Yeah, crap. It's going to look like I can draw pretty well, but it's going to look like garbage. Well, it's also like if you're trying to draw and you're like this. Like... Yeah. So like a lot of people, I didn't put it in here, but a lot of people will drive literally like if they leave their phones like, an hour away, 30 minutes away, they will literally drive 1 to 2 hours back the other direction just to get their phone, just to get their phone, but they'll leave their peace and focus anywhere.
Several times throughout the day, all day, every day.
They'll leave their peace and focus anywhere. So let's look at the waves. Like we were saying earlier, you'll always be hit by waves.
Always. There's always going to be waves in life that hit. And the waves don't necessarily get smaller, but you do get stronger, right? You're able to handle situations better. You're able to handle the bigger waves so that, the little waves aren't knocking you over. When you think about a wave pool and a toddler walking in, everything knocks over the toddler, right? But the adults just like walk, you can literally walk all the way through, maybe like kind of be roughed up like a couple, but it's the same thing. And so waves of life will always hit, and it's not trying to avoid problems, it's handling them.
Yeah. Where's your foundation? How stable are you? Is determined about how where's your status in your mind as far as like stature, not status. I meant to say stature in your mind on where it's at in terms of like the growth factor of it. So where's that at? Is it big or small? All right. So the keys. We want to teach you how to get a bigger cup and to also empty your cup frequently versus brimming over and basically ready to spill over at any little drop. Yeah. So we want to teach you how to do that. You can't, like we said, you have to get a bigger cup, bigger plot of land. You can't always be trying to just like do all these different things and then like just add all these different information. It's just your cup's always just brimming over. Right.
And you're just constantly in that chaotic state. You can tell a lot by like how someone talks, of their mental status, of where they are emotionally, just by how someone talks, the pace that they're talking, like what they're saying. Like there's so much that comes out in those types of things, but you don't want to be like always on the edge, always, all right. Like you want to be able to handle things and process and take time to step back.
Mm-hmm. So again, you have to build a bigger cup. If you're growing, then your cup is going to fill up faster, is what we're saying. So as you're growing, you're going to have not only everything else that still is going on in your life until you get rid of it, right? As you go through this, but you're also going to have in the beginning, especially in the beginning, you're going to feel like your cup is filling up a lot faster, and you're going to feel stressed and overwhelmed and pressure, right? So just need a bigger cup, right? We'll help you with that. So this is actually in the beginning of the modules in both different sets of modules, but this is it's a choice, right?
So on the left, you have the uninformed optimism, the informed pessimism, and then it swings down to the valley of despair. When you loop back up to the uninformed optimism or the informed pessimism, a lot of times like the reaction, like when people are hitting reaction, they're swinging back over to the informed pessimism or down into the valley of despair. So in that red area, that's typically where we're like, it sounds like you're reacting, right? Like that's typically what's going on.
Yeah. So something happens, an event, you end up in the valley of despair. Oh, woe is me, hopeless, can't believe we're here again, blah, blah, blah. Right? Then you're like informed pessimism. Oh, I'm seeing everything clearly, right? Wink, wink. This is what they were doing before. This is what was going on. See, it's never going to work. See? But then that's just how it sounds in relationships. And then you swing over to the other side, right? Valley of despair. Everybody gets in it. Everybody. Literally everyone will get there. It's just a matter of time. Life happens. Waves happen. But everybody has to make a decision. Everybody has the same decision to make. They swing over from informed pessimism first or informed optimism. You can always swing back, but it's a choice. So informed optimism just means that like, hey, what can I do here? Right? Where can I focus? What is in my control? How can I respond? What can I do to make the situation better? Right?
What small steps can I actually implement?
What's the next? Not like what is. Don't say what is everything that I have to do. No, not that. What is the very next step in front of me? What's that? Right? What is the very next step in front of me that I need to take? Not like literally shrink. So if I was telling someone this earlier, if your mind, try not to hit you, if your mind is like this big and you have all these different things going on in your mind, shrink the window. Your focus, shrink it, shrink your focus, shrink the window to your focus in your mind, and focus on the next step in front of you. Everything else out, Shrink it down. So, how to empty your cup and get a bigger cup. Let's go. So, first thing is surrender. This is key. Surrender to Jesus Christ, God and the Holy Spirit. Make them the CEO of your life.
Absolutely.
Right? Make him the growth master of your life. Right? God, this is what I say every day. You're responsible for the growth, not me. You're responsible for the outcome, not me. I can only control the process. Like I can plant the seeds, I can till the ground, I can provide the right soil, the fertilizer, I can make sure that I water it every day, all of that. But what I can't do is make it grow. That's God's job. A lot of people try and sit on that throne.
And none of us are God. Your spouse isn't God either, right? So surrender is number one. And number two is make sure that you are doing hobbies, like having that self-care and taking care of yourself. So whether it be walking is something super easy to implement, that pretty much everyone can do, right? Walking or whatever it is that fills your cup in a place that rejuvenates you.
That's healthy, ethical, moral, right? And go do it, right? It's something that I recommend. A lot of people, I was talking to people earlier today, like they can't remember the last time they did anything for themselves. Literally. Some people are on that call tonight like that.
It should be there should be something, first of all, so prayer and quiet time and that daily time with God is that's a staple. That's a non-negotiable. So this is going to go into the non-negotiables, right? So having that time, of this is my time, having a little bit of your own quiet time, and then doing something for yourself, little. So not all hobbies have to be go out and do something of oh, I want to go fish for yourself or reading or whatever it may be. Currently, one of mine's hot tub. I just think that's awesome. That's filling my cup, right? But just something little for yourself every day.
Yep. So another one is care cycles and belief breakers. Obviously, once you get to those, you'll understand how super beneficial they are. But it goes without saying. But if you haven't done them, then and you really don't, or if you tried them on your own, I hear people send them to me all the time, and I'm like, you did a pretty good job in your first try, but we can go a lot deeper. And usually we do a whole lot deeper. But Absolutely. Once you learn how to do these, you don't have to be perfect. My aim for me personally, my men clients, is just to get you to at least a 5 or 6 effectively, to where you can actually just effectively do them at a level 5 or 6, and then you can learn and grow from there. Not to make you perfect on it, but.
And care cycles and belief breakers don't stop. So, even Tommy and I still do belief breakers and care cycles. Let me just tell you, I've been processing through quite a bit this week, and so they don't stop. And those are things that you need to continue to do and process through. So it doesn't matter how small or how big. And if you're struggling, then that's when you reach out and ask for help. And then, it's up to you to book your own care cycle call. If you're past week 2 on the care cycle module, once you watch the module, you book your call to get that help.
Yep. So a question. Jake asked, but what if those hobbies has
been driven into your head that got used that got us where we are today? Depends on
that.
So what if those hobbies have been driven into your head that those hobbies were the cause of why you are where you are at today?
It depends on the hobbies. I don't know what hobbies are meant to be a supplement to your life. For example, if you take protein powder, where I've been guilty of just taking protein and only eating protein is my protein source. No meats, nothing, because it's convenient, right? You just throw it back and it's super fast and it saves you time. But it's not meant to be a whole food source. It's meant to be a supplement where you go through $150 a month in freaking protein tubs. It becomes a problem, right? So I had to choose to switch to something that was a supplement to my life, not an addition. So, but a lot of people, what they do is they end up going to hobbies, for example, and it's typically men, I'm not gonna lie, but women do it too. They go to hobbies let's say, I don't know, let's just use golf. They go play golf, and they'll be like, I'm gonna go play, I don't know, maybe golf is the wrong example.
No, just say, I'm going to go play golf. And then it ends up being, okay, well, I'm going to go play golf every Saturday, and I'm going to be gone all day. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. And so obviously, like when it's hobbies, and that's why we're saying it doesn't have to be something you have to go do, right? Or something you have to spend money on. So if it's financial aspect, that enters into a whole different realm into the marriage, right? Because like y'all should be on the same team on finances, and then also on time. There have been times where Tommy's hobbies have consumed his life, and it's like, hello, do I exist?
Yeah. Oh, I know a good one. So I know for me, what used to consume my life when we were younger married was video games. So like I used to play video games all the time. Like I would work, come home, I would just vaguely see her and just play it for hours. Before you know it, one match turns into like 10, and then it's like where'd the day go? Right? Like it's just like I don't know. And so I play video games now, but it's only because we bought an Xbox for my son. I just use it to bond with him, but that's it.
So essentially what I'm hearing, it's the time. So with you being a mechanic, and I enjoyed wrenching at home, and that supported our horses and minding the kids' toys, but me never being home mentally is our problem. Or hobby is hunting. So hunting takes you also away. So it depends on, how and how often, right? Or in like how, if you're just like, hey, I'm doing this, and there's no constant like Tommy was trying to make plans for Saturday, and if he would have just made them without coming to me at all, I would have been quite irritated. Just because like we actually do have a family event already planned for Saturday, so those types of things are like working together, but it seems like time is like the biggest aspect there.
Yeah. Also, like when it comes to that, just touch one more point on it. Basically, what we're going at here is that these things, you don't want them to consume your life, and then being mentally checked in and being fully present. So, for example, a lot of people work, use their work as a hobby, kind of like they'll work like 18-hour days. But then it becomes kind of like that extra like wife almost, because you're just spending so much time there. And so what you want to understand is like when it comes to these things is that there's going to be different points. Like, so earlier in a career, like for example, if you start a business, it's going to take you a lot more effort to get off the ground. You're going to be working 80% of the time or more. But when you're in the 80, focus 100% on the 80. And when you're home, focus 100% on the 20, right? So maybe 60-40, maybe the other way around eventually, another point in your life. But yeah, you have to make sure that, yes, this is going off topic here.
So good, good question. So number 4 is state management, right? So this is important. You're hitting a reaction. And state management, there's exercise like to manage your state. Like there's like the ones in the modules. And then also you can find out what works best for you. So what works best for me, when I hit like overwhelm or reaction, one is to do something physical. Typically I power walk. That exerts a lot for me, particularly me. And then I also blast some Christian music, and I completely change my state. So between those two things, and like that's what I use, but you should be doing state management exercises.
Yep. Just to let everybody know, if you're new or you don't know where they're at, maybe go to the coaching tab in the modules, click on the coaching tab, scroll over, go down, and then you'll see it, state management exercises. There's Gestalt, all those things there.
Mm-hmm.
So another one is like I implemented this recently into the modules because it's made a lot of difference for me, and I've mentioned it to a couple of my clients on my side. I call it Tommy's time with God routine because it really makes a pretty good, like, just check it out in the Marriage 2.0 modules. It's really freaking awesome. Like I hear from God on a massive, massive scale every day. And it's literally like, I find myself almost procrastinating on other areas because I love it so much. And I don't mean to sound like some super spiritual weirdo. Like I'm just saying, like, when it comes to these types of things, like I really love it. And it's my favorite part of the day because I hear from him that nothing else compares. Like I love that part of my day. And it's awesome. Check it out. It grounds me too. It grounds me and prepares me for my entire day and week.
And I will say, so I live with Tommy, and he's not some of those like a weirdo by any means. But
no, I just some people have different perspectives.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that, so with that, it is a really great routine. And when we started doing this, like started hearing from God a whole lot more, just so much.
Yep. Meditation is also one, but I'll speak on that a little bit more in the next one. So meditation is another way you can empty your cup. So Christians can meditate a little bit differently. I'm actually not against secular meditation. I don't believe there's nothing wrong with it as long as like you're not like worshiping some foreign idol. Now, you want to make sure like you're just aware of like things that people try and introduce into like a good app is called Calm or Headspace. They're both kind of relatively the same price for the year, about $70 for the year, but they're pretty freaking good for guided meditation. I personally do the meditation within the modules, and the way I do it is this is actually incorporated into my Tommy's morning routine with God. Is I just listen to the Stephen Furtick meditating on God's word for like 12 minutes, and I hear something different. I take notes, and I just let it fill my mind, and I hear something different every single time. It's weird. I've been listening to it for I don't know how long. And I hear something different every single time that God wants me to hear. It's awesome. But it just helps me. It just clears my head. It helps me focus. You sleep better. You feel better. You look better. It's scientifically proven that meditation increases the size of parts of your brain. You communicate better. You think sharper. You're more present. All those different things. It just really helps. Also making sure that you're getting, I don't think I included this in here unless you really go to the Build a Routine 2.0 section, but I highly suggest making sleep a priority. It is? Okay. Wasn't sure. Breath work is another one though.
Yeah. And this is where more of like, I do this as well. And so box breathing. And so for people who don't know how to meditate or don't know how to like breathe like in a controlled way, if I can learn how to do these things, there's hope for anyone. I think the first time Tommy told me to go meditate, like I sat down and I sat there for 2 minutes and I about wigged out. I about lost my mind. I was like, this is so boring. And I don't know, like it's not quiet. It's not calming at all. Like my mind's all over the place. Am I doing this right? It was terrible. You could tell what type of mindset I was in, right? Yeah. So with that aspect, if I can learn, there's hope for everyone. But box breathing has also been recommended by like different chiropractors and just different medical as well. So it's a great technique.
Yeah. So when we went through all of our stuff, I really jacked up because I was smart. Those of you that really dived into our story and heard how much anxiety and overwhelm and stress I had it was insane. And so I had to do a lot of work post after that to actually get my like central nervous system rewired because it was all jacked up. So I had to actually do box breathing and cold therapy to repair my central nervous system and teach my body what real stress is in life or flight situations because your body gets dependent on cortisol and different things like that.
Yeah. And so box breathing is just a 4 count. It's 4 count. Like it's breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then repeat. Super easy. I can count to 4, so you can too. And all of this does work in repair. Like as I was working with a chiropractor, like that's what they were telling me, like as we worked on my central nervous system and everything, that's what they had told me to do. So guess what I implement? Hot tub with box breathing.
Yep. So one of the things Taylor said, he said, one thing I found out helpful is to have guided meditation on YouTube. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can just throw them in. The only thing I think that sucks about YouTube, though, I have to admit, is the ads. So when you're in your midst of your meditation, and you get an ad for Cialis commercial or something. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. But let's keep going. Another one is cold therapy. I know everyone hates this, including me, but I do it every single day.
It does.
I really do. I hate it every single time. But I don't have a cold plunge yet because we rent a house here in Tennessee. But as soon as we buy a house, I'm buying one, and a sauna and a hot tub. But we have like a shower that is pretty cold. I turn it all the way cold for 1 minute. I have a shower timer, so I don't cheat and count a fast 1 minute. I just turn it on, it beeps, and I sleep better at night. I handle stress better because it actually teaches my body what real stress is and what fight or flight really is. So you handle things better. And it wakes you up. I know Taylor swears by those.
Yes.
Another one is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So we've mentioned these a little bit, but energy state management, like we said earlier, shredding memories, Gestalt, those different things. We already mentioned those, so I'm not going to go into depth in them again, but they do work very well. Now, another thing is priorities and focus are key. So I'm going to go ahead and go over those.
Yeah. So number one, like God is first. Like that priorities and focus, like it's God is first. Then you're in a self-care way, not a selfish, not, hey, like this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I don't care if it impacts you or not, or, hey, I don't I don't care about you. Like, that's selfish, right? We're not talking about being an a-hole, right? All we're talking about is like you in a self-care way. And then your spouse, then your kids, then work, then family and friends.
Misspelled family. No worries. So like that being said, a lot of people confuse these things, but the thing is, this stuff doesn't come natural. You have to, until you reprogram it, and even then I don't really think it comes natural, to be honest with you. Like, you actually have to fight and choosily and intentionally do this stuff. I'll give you an example. We were up in Indiana not too long ago, and it was just talking about sleep, but her family, for some reason up there, like, they have this thing about sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night consistently. They seem to be just fine. I don't know, but like,
they're not fine at all.
They act fine, but I'm like, I don't know how you do that. I can't do that. Like, there's just no way. And so like they're like, I just can't go to sleep. I just lay there, my mind runs, and I get up and go read a book or whatever. And I'm like, well, no, it doesn't just happen naturally for me. Like, I have to set a reverse alarm in my phone. I have to make sure I go to bed at the exact same time every night for the most part. I have to make sure that, I try to stay off my phone for the most part. Like, sometimes we'll break that rule a little bit and watch like a pastoral video at night if we feel led to and God speaks us to there. But most of the time, it's just staying off the phone. Max 10 minutes I'm on it. But we make sure we really protect our sleep. I monitor my sleep with this device called a Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, it's called a Whoop. I hate when you do that. It's called a Whoop. And it's just a tracking device. It's not a watch, and it tracks your sleep. It's comparable and just as accurate as things that the EEG machines on your head. So it works really well for me. I track my sleep with it. I get a sleep score. On the days that it's low, it's accurate. On the days it's not, it's accurate.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so just answering Maggie's question real quick, it was Gestalt. Pretty sure that was the third one.
The third, yeah, Gestalt, yeah.
And so essentially, like, your focus equals faith. And this is hard. Like, that's why, when we ask you guys often, like, where's your focus? Like, what are you focused on right now? I know I asked people that today, like, what are you focused on? And it's funny, you get that, well, I know, right? And so there's two double whammies right there, especially with the I know, but so focus equals faith.
Yeah. People are also outcome or process. You can either be process focused or outcome focused. If you're outcome focused, you're not going to have a good outcome. It's kind of ironic, but if you're process focused, you'll have a good outcome. Or a way better outcome. And then the gap in the game. So the gap in the game, we talked about this before. It's actually a book, really good concept. And it talks about how, you can either be in the gap or you can be in the game, and you can measure, from your past forwards, or you can measure forward, meaning what you don't have, right?
Yeah, just to reword that a little bit. So on the gap in the game, because I love this and it helps recenter my mindset and helps me make sure I'm keeping focused right. So I can either measure where I'm at and where I want to be, and know, like, that's the gap, right? Like, I'm not there yet. And in the gap, there's like that overwhelm, there's that dissatisfaction and all of those unhappy emotions. Yeah. Or you can measure backwards and look at what you've gained even from bad experience, but measure backwards and also look how far you've grown. And it's amazing, like, transformation. That's why we celebrate all wins.
I said that wrong. I apologize the first time. But she said it right. And that being said, like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. We can keep going. All right. So also manage your time, right? So this is something that's in the modules. It's in the actual build a routine section, build a routine 2.0, but I won't go as in depth here because I could do an hour just on this things. But we're not going to do that. There's something called the Eisenhower Matrix and also the Billionaire Time Matrix. So I got these from a previous mentor, Craig Ballantyne, but they work very well. And what you do is you create a big list of everything you have to do for the day, all your to-dos. Put it all in there. Then you go in here and you use both of these two different lists, so the Eisenhower Matrix and the Billionaire Time Matrix, and you go back and forth and you use these things. So non-urgent but important task, or you can call it newy work, right? Do it now. Put this in certain parts of your day, right? Urgent task, decide and schedule a time to do it. This is important. Non-urgent but important task, right? So they're not necessarily to do it right now, but they are important. So just delegate it, right? For example, maybe you have to cut the yard, something like that. Delegate that. If you have the money, delegate it.
Or if you have kids, delegate it.
Yeah, or kids, whatever, free labor. So delegate it, right? Non-urgent tasks. These are usually distractions. So these are like, surfing on YouTube or like different things like that. Just delete it, right? Or put it out of way or schedule it later is what I like to do. Mm-hmm. So another one, hold on, go back. So the billionaire is similar, but it's different. This is things more if you're looking at like a list to help you delegate different things. Is that somebody that's in our group? Okay. So I'll make sure. I keep seeing them pop in and out. Okay, so what do you hate doing, right? Mind up list, create that first. What do you hate doing? Create a list of doing it. What should you stop doing? What's not your job to do? Right? A lot of people should fill a lot of things in this box. What are your distractions? A lot of people should fill also a lot of things in this box. Mm-hmm. Right?
And so there's just in those things, just on the time, just know that it's okay that sometimes like to procrastinate on things that you don't normally procrastinate on, right? So sometimes my laundry ain't perfect, right? Sometimes like I'll have something that, I typically manage really well, but I'm like, this week I have something different come up and my schedule is more full, right? So, that happens every year for like tax season. When tax season comes up, like we're just coming out of tax season. It's like, hey, like my time, some of my extra time. So, I may not cook as often and I might delegate more of that. Or I might do, hey, we're doing fend for yourself nights, a couple more nights, right? So it's not setting like a new, like lower standard. It's just like being able to procrastinate and having some of that flexibility. Like you don't have to be perfect and have everything in your life like amazing. Like
no, like the schedule is a living organism. Like your routine is a living organism. It evolves, mind grows all the time. It doesn't have to be perfect and stay the same. And as you grow, it should change. Be honest with you. Also, like it's okay to procrastinate on things that don't matter as much. Like, for example, I'm not going to for example, like I'm not gonna go do like if I have to get on client calls or if I need to do something on the back end of the business, I'm not going to put that last and go do laundry in my room. Like, I'm not going to do that. I have laundry, I think, still sitting there.
Sorry, guys, I can't help you. I got to go fold my clothes.
Yeah, like, what, really? Like, no.
You're like, I'm concerned.
There's a lot of, like last week, I think my laundry sat there from Sunday to Sunday. I didn't do it. I just sat there. I had better things to do, more efficient with my time. But yeah. Another thing is, so another thing is your 5%. Write down everything that you feel like you have to do currently, you have to do on a bind up list. And then highlight everything that aligns with your values and current most important goals in alignment with God's priorities. The key with this, you have to actually be brutally honest. Brutally honest. Doesn't work if you're not brutally honest. And you have to do it with the right priorities too. Remember, God first, you second.
Yep. And then also you got to work on the mindset of all of these things we get to do.
Yep.
Not have to. We get to do all these things.
Also, this is going to be really important for if you haven't heard this before, but focus on what you can control. So the thoughts you choose to dwell on, the images you choose to see, the words you choose to say, and the actions you choose to take. These are the only 4 things that you can control. That's it. Period. Everything else is outside of your control. Literally, you can only control these 4 things. It's like the thoughts you choose to dwell on, the images you choose to see, the words you choose to say, and the actions you choose to take.
And just know, so on the thoughts and like the things that you say, on these things, like when you're changing them, so on the thoughts, like you'll have to call them out, right? Like this isn't, you need to call out your thoughts and change them. And so it's going to be multiple times throughout the day. We just talked about how we have over 60,000 thoughts and they're on repeat. So you have a lot of reprogramming to work on and do, and it's going to be calling things out, right? And same thing with like the words that you choose to say. So that's why I'm a big word person. So when you message me and say I can't, and Tommy, I know he really calls out that I'll try, these things, and we're going to call you out and like, no, you need to reframe this. Right. And it's that constant correction. Like that's what you have to do in order. So if you say something wrong or if you think something wrong, I got to correct. I got to fix that.
Yep. So also build a routine, protect it. You have to protect it. You have to protect your routine.
Does that mean I can come in here and say, hey, Tommy, it's your Bible time, but I want you?
No, get out of my room. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, get out of my room. Because like we have to, like we protect our time. Like I'm not going to go interrupt her in her Bible time. I'm not going to go interrupt. And it's not just Bible time; it's other things too. Like it's just respect, and you have to protect those times.
He actually asked me the other night. He came out to get in the hot tub, and he was like, "Is it okay if I join you? I'm not sure if you want time alone or if I can join you tonight." Because I do use that for some of my alone time, you know. So it's just that being mindful and respectful, and no excuse if you have kids. Because guess what? They can learn. They can learn to respect these things and to have them. Our kids actually ask for a moment. They're like, I need a minute, or I just need some time to myself, right? So they have learned also how to be like able to request this and to take that time. You know, when we had family in and like, I recognized that like Jacob was getting like over, you know, drawn out and he needed some time. And he asked and he went and took a little bit of time and he came back like completely different, you know. So these things, they'll learn to respect it. And now they even ask, is it your Bible time or is it your quiet time? So your kids can learn these things too.
You could tell I wrote this module. There's a ton of spelling errors.
I didn't edit this one, sorry.
Yeah, sorry guys. But like, anyways, everything else works around your as staples. Use the build a routine 2.0. Don't just say I need to implement a routine. Just do it. Do it. There's never a perfect time. Never a perfect time. The perfect time's now. So morning and night routine also for success. Have that. Prioritize sin. You're like, wait, what? Not S-I-N, S-E-N. Prioritize sin.
Yep.
Yeah, it stands for sleep, exercise, and nutrition.
Doesn't matter if you feel like it or not.
Yep. Every one of the guys I talk to, like, they better be going to the gym. Like I check in, like some of them send me a selfie. I don't care. Gym selfie. Like better be going to the gym every single day. Monday through Friday, at a minimum.
You know, so, and I know a big thing, especially like for the women, is making sure you eat, right? Because a lot of times, like when we're in emotions, it's like, well, I just feel sick and I don't want to eat. Like, no, your body needs these things because without sleep and without like actually exercising and the right nutritions, it like makes you crazy. Like that's mostly when people become extremely reactive is when they don't have sleep and they're not eating.
Yeah, so just start using these things and just start implementing them all the time. Just implement it, right? So the action, like people focus on too much thinking, on trying to be perfect, basically, versus just doing. Like I used to be a big perfectionist and procrastinator to a high degree. So go back and watch the perfect procrastination video if you haven't. But messy action beats perfect every day of the week. I will be miles ahead of you before you take the first leap. So perfect, don't do that. Just do it. And then do it better next time. Right? Action beats anxiety every day of the week. So you don't rise to the level. Also, you don't rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your training, practice, and reps. So if you're not focusing on the process, where are you going to fall to?
Your comfort zone of the past.
Where you were because you didn't put in the reps, training, and practice. So no progress. That's what that equals. I wanted to go over this too. This was in a different module, but I included it here as the last one here because I thought it was, I think it's the last one. Yeah. So I thought it was important. So a lot of people, they have all these different things in their life from like fears, life, all these things hitting them in all different directions, right? It's probably the way a lot of people feel. They got all these things, but the difference is a lot of people don't have this boundary here. So what happens is all these arrows just fly and hit them. So to explain this, we'll dive into this with you though.
Yeah. So, you know, you got to put on like, so first it starts with like knowing like your God-given identity, right? And that there's a lot that goes into that, obviously, but one of the fundamentals of it is honestly your temperament. One of the easiest things, like your temperament, and then also like, what does the Bible say about you, right? God calls you what, right? So not like what society has said, what other people or your spouse has said when they were mean, you know, or mad at you, right? So your identity is built based on like what God has said about you, how he has built you, and your values, like your passions. Those things are what design you as how God created you.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is like a lot of people that are people pleasers, they say, well, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a provider. No, that's not who you are whatsoever. That's what you do. That's not who you are. Who you are is your temperament. Who you are is your core values and principles. Who you are is your beliefs, your passions. Who you are is who God calls you loved, chosen, valued, blessed, redeemed, healed, whole, strong, forgiven. You're a father, a mother. That's just something you do. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. A husband, a wife. That's not who you are. That's what you do. That's just something that you do in your day as part of your life. That's not who you are. These are who you are. So if this is who you are, then you're grounded because it doesn't depend on external circumstances. So what happens if you identify as a wife, then what happens when your husband leaves you last minute and then you don't know who you are anymore? You feel like part of you've been ripped away because it's an identity issue. Same thing for the men, right? That's where your confidence comes from too. Here is like this core center, right? And then like, you don't have to be perfect though. Like God gave me this image of like, I added all these like little cracks. Those weren't there before, if you noticed those. But like I added all these different cracks because I used to have this belief that I was broken and defective and all these different cracks and scars and all these different things in me. But those may be scars, but I don't have to be perfect because guess what? Where I'm weak, God comes in and fills all those cracks. That's why they're all lit up in white. So God comes in and fills all those cracks with his power and his glory and his favor and him and makes me who I need to be, powerful beyond measure. That's who we're created to be. And with God, I am everything and I'm capable of changing the world and I will. But like without him, I can't do any of that. So just wanted to show you guys that. I thought an analogy would be appropriate.
Absolutely. And you can see here, like where the mindset, like, having this mindset of like hurt people mindset. And, when you stop taking everything personal, when someone else does something like it's an attack against you, like, no, it's a reflection of them, right? So when you have that mindset, you become unshakable. And then, if you have that mindset of like, I'm a vessel, I'm going to be the hands and feet of Jesus, right? All of these things will guide you and then produce the fruits of your actions. And you're going to live different. You're going to be intentional. You're going to be responding. You're not going to be reacting. You're not going to be overwhelmed and anxious and stressed all the time and be anxiety ridden and those types of things. You're not going to be triggered all the time and walking on eggshells, right? When you are truly confident in your core of your God-given identity and you have this mindset, then this is what the actions will come out. You will have the fruit of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, like I've heard about people going to therapists and counselors and stuff like that. Then they react to their spouse and different things like that. But it's funny because like that's the fruits of what they're doing. And then you have like people like one of the guys I was talking to earlier. Everybody's been noticing a difference. As employees, like people that work for him, everybody's been noticing a difference. Like, and they don't even know he's doing this. So like, it's the fruits. The fruit's going to produce something different if you're actually doing stuff.
One of my favorite messages to get is someone asked me like, I don't know, or someone came up to me today and was just like, I don't know, there's just something different about you. I don't know, there's just like this lightness about you. And I was like, yeah, that's all internal work. It has nothing to do with anybody else but internal.
Yeah. In the Bible, Jesus curses the fig tree. I know a lot of people have heard of that. And he cursed it. They said specifically that he cursed it down to the root. Why did he curse it down to the root? Because he didn't want it to ever grow again. So if he curses it down to the roots of it, then what does that mean? Well, if it's going to also produce fruit, then it has to have good roots and soil. You can't produce good fruit and have just a bunch of fancy leaves on your tree that don't actually mean anything. They're just hiding all the imperfections, because the tree had a bunch of leaves on it. And it looked like it should be producing, but it wasn't. So he cursed it and it withered up and died down to the root. But like when you have all these different things and you actually like build up from the foundation where the roots are, then you're going to produce leaves, healthy leaves, and fruit, abundant fruit.